Well, it's unloaded and in its temporary place, and this is where it's going to sit until I can get it moved inside. Wanted to give you a little overview before I tarped it up. This is where it's going to sit for right now. There's the power unit and the motor sitting down on that end, and here's the overhead mast where where the flat belt and the motor and the gearbox sit. So it looks like it's got, I think, a 3 horsepower motor. It's either 1 or 3. The tags on it, there's some stamping, so I get a little bit of information, but it's pretty well faded. There's not really much I can read. And the head with the upper belt drive and everything, there's a gearbox on there that's got forward and reverse on it. And looks like it works fairly well. I have no idea what it's off of. It was probably off of a tractor or something like that. But it's got a forward, a reverse, and a neutral, so that's how they handled the forward and reverse on the belts. And it's activated by this lever right here. This lever here activates your forward and reverse. And of course it's stiff without it running. But anyway, I've had it in all 3 gears, and it does work. There's a almost like a choke cable on the other side that hooks back in here. I'm not sure if that's some sort of a clutch mechanism or just exactly what that is, but it's still all greasy and dirty. We'll probably, well, I know we'll tear it down, and I'm probably going to rework this this framework some. It's kind of ragged the way it's been done, and when I get to this, and it's going to sit here for a little bit until we get the shop done and I get it moved inside, but when we get to it, why, I'll reassemble it and we'll go ahead and run it. Looks like it's got a single phase motor on it. Need to do a little bit of wiring. It's fairly clean, but there's not a ground wire to be found anyplace. So we'll go through and clean all that up a little bit and add some ground so it's safe, and then we'll at least run it a little bit and see what it's going to do. I think if it works the way I think it will, I think we can lower that mast. I think it sticks up quite a ways in the air, and I don't think it needs to be that high. And plus, I'm a little short guy, so for me to reach up, and even that forward and reverse lever is quite a reach for me. So anyway, kind of the specs on it from what I've found so far is got a 9-foot bed, and it looks like with the tailstock on there, and I've got the tailstock set out of the way here, it looks like there's about probably 5 foot, 4.5 or 5 foot of usable bed length if we're running the tailstock with it. Got about 1.25 inch spindle bore through the center, and it'll swing 18 inches. So I've got the pulley that goes on this end down here, and as I said before, we've got some of the gearing for threading. This is the drive assembly for the power feeds, and there's another one of these cone pulleys inverted, of course, here, and it runs with a flat belt going back and forth there. And then, of course, our other gearing sits on this end to control our threading. Got a lot of slop here, of course, but that's, that'll have to be addressed. But we'll address all this stuff when we get to it. This is our forward and reverse for the power feed this way. Just visually looking, I think I can actually see on the back way anyway. Looks like there's quite a bit of wear in there, which I actually expect. Long term, I don't really anticipate doing much with that. Long term plans for this is we're going to pull it down and restore it. Whether I do anything with the bed itself, I don't know. Depending on how much wear is in it and what we're going to accomplish, I can't see investing probably the amount of money it would cost to have these remachined. For the use that this will get as old as it is, I probably won't do that. But I don't know. We'll see when we get there. But otherwise, it looks to be in relatively good shape. They don't have oilers on it. It looks like they just had a piece of pipe on here, and they probably squirted some oil down into the bearings. What else can I tell you about it? 4-jaw, 3-jaw, no faceplate. There's a steady rest with it. Got a little bit of gearing with it, and that's pretty much what I know. Everything seems to be relatively tight. There's not from what I can tell so far, there's not a noticeable amount of play in the headstock itself. Oh, we got a clunk here. I don't know if that's just loose. Sounds like that's kind of loose on the shaft, is what it sounds like to me. But won't know until we investigate that a little bit further. But I'm going to oil it down a little bit. We stopped at the car wash on the way home so I could rinse off most of the crap, and it sat since Friday I brought it home. So this is Sunday morning. So I wanted to give it a chance to dry out. I knew we were going to have good weather, and I think I'm going to oil it down a little bit, and I'll put the gearing and everything with it, and then we're going to tarp it up, because I'm not going to get to this for a couple of months at least, probably, and it's just going to sit here and rest. Tomorrow morning I'm scheduled to go out and pick up my other piece of equipment, and it's the one I'm excited about, and I've got to get my phase converter working before I do anything with it. So the next thing will probably be reworking that phase converter on the big stuff that, you know, on these big projects. So, alright, last little bit here, just handheld. There's our flat belt pulley that goes down here on the end of that shaft. Now that gear's got a couple of teeth whacked out of it. That's the only damage I see to any of the teeth. But we've got those gears, and we've got those gears. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them it looks like. There's our tailstock, and I've got the clamp for it set. I guess it's set here on the other side of it. I haven't checked to see what the taper is. I got that. Here's our four-jaw chuck. Now there's no back plate on this, but it doesn't look to be too well used, I don't think. I mean, I'm sure it is, but looking at the wear on the jaws, and those are replaceable jaws, they don't look too bad. And there's a steady rest for it. I didn't get these parts cleaned up. These I threw in the back of the rig, so they didn't make it at the car wash, which is fine. But that's kind of where we're at with it. I hope when we get to the restoration you're going to follow along, because I think it'll be a lot of fun. And as always, thanks for taking the time to watch.